Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into, well, one of the most audacious and frankly unsettling spy operations of World War II.
It really is an incredible story. We're talking about a time, 1943, where the success of the entire Allied invasion of Europe hinged on, believe it or not, a dead body carrying fake secrets.
Exactly. We're unpacking Operation Mincemeat. It's often called the most elaborate, maybe the most macabre deception of the war.
And our mission today is to figure out how this incredibly detailed lie, built around a completely fictional British officer, managed to fool not just German intelligence, but Hitler himself.
Okay, let's set the scene. It's April 1943. We're off the southern coast of Spain near Huelva. Just imagine a local fisherman, Jose Antonio Rey Maria, out for his usual day.
Right, just a normal day on the water, until he sees something really out of place floating there.
It's a body, dressed in the uniform of a British Royal Marine officer. Trench coat, the works. Looks like another casualty of the war at sea.
Tragic, but maybe not entirely uncommon then. But then there's the detail that changes everything.
The black leather briefcase, chained securely to his wrist.
Yeah, that immediately shouts secrets, top secret documents, maybe something so important it had to be hand-carried, even across the sea.
And that instantly raises the stakes. You mentioned the invasion of Europe. This was all about Operation Husky, the Allied plan to invade Sicily.
Stupendous stakes. This one dead man, who the Germans would come to know as Major William Martin, was basically the linchpin holding up this massive deception effort. The whole thing depended on him being believed.
But here's the mind-bending part, the central paradox. Major Martin.
Right.
He didn't exist.
A complete ghost, conjured up by, well, a couple of quite eccentric intelligence officers. He was the fabricated heart of Operation Mincemeat.
So it wasn't just about planting documents. They had to create a whole person, a believable life.
That's the genius of it, isn't it? How they built this life using details so small, so mundane, they could literally fit inside his wallet. Things that made the Germans believe in the man, not just the mission.
And that's what we need to dissect. How did this intricate lie fool the German high command? How did it save potentially thousands of lives?
Right. So let's start with why. Why was such an extreme measure even necessary? The tactical situation in early 43.
Okay, Section 1, the problem. The Allies had just pushed the Axis forces out of North Africa. Big victory.
Huge victory. But the question was, what next? Churchill especially was pushing to hit what he called Europe's soft underbelly.
Which meant Italy. And the obvious first step, I mean, you just look at a map.
It screams Sicily, doesn't it? Perfect stepping stone. Take Sicily, you secure the Mediterranean sea lanes, you put immense pressure on Mussolini, maybe knock Italy out of the war.
But that was the problem. It was too perfect, too obvious.
Exactly. The Germans weren't stupid. They knew Sicily was the logical target. They were already pouring concrete, moving troops in, fortifying the island.
And Operation Husky was going to be massive. What were the numbers again?
Over 150,000 Allied troops. More than 3,000 ships. Just a colossal undertaking. If they hit a fully prepared Sicily, it would be a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
A bloodbath on the beaches.
So the dilemma. Invade Sicily, but can't attack a fully defended Sicily. They had to make the Germans look somewhere else.
Which leads us to Operation Barclay. This was the big strategic deception plan.
Right, the umbrella operation. Fake armies, dummy tanks.
All that stuff. Fake radio traffic suggesting the main landings would be in Greece, maybe Sardinia, the Balkans, trying to create noise and confusion on a grand scale.
But Barclay, it's all a bit abstract. Radio chatter, wooden tanks. Things the Germans might expect the Allies to try. They needed something more concrete.
Something tangible, something that felt accidental, like a genuine intelligence leak, not a deliberate plan, something that would land on an analyst's desk in Berlin and make them say, aha, this is real.
And that's where the Mincemeat idea surfaces. It wasn't actually brand new in 1943, was it?
No, The seed goes back to 1939. There was this document called the Trout Memo, written by Admiral John Godfrey, who was Director of Naval Intelligence.
The Trout Memo. Why trout?
The analogy was fly fishing. Tricking the enemy is like tempting a trout with the right lure. The memo listed, I think, 54 different ways to fool the enemy.
And one of them was particularly dark.
Suggestion number 28, titled, with a bit of classic British understatement, a suggestion, not a very nice one.
Not very nice indeed.
It basically laid it out. Get a dead body, dress it as an officer carrying fake plans, and make sure it washes ashore where the enemy will find it.
And here's a fantastic bit of trivia. The young naval intelligence officer who actually helped Godfrey draft parts of that memo, who typed up Suggestion 28.
None other than Ian Fleming.
Future creator of James Bond. Already thinking about deception and, well, dead bodies.
So the idea was there, filed away. Too macabre for peacetime, maybe too risky even in the early war years. But by 1943, with Sicily looming,
Desperate times, the idea gets dusted off. Which brings us to the architects, the guys who actually had to make this gruesome plan work. Section 2.
right, the design team. An unlikely pair, really.
Yeah.
You had Charles Cholmondeley first.
Cholmondeley, often pronounced Chumley.
That's
Right?
the one. He was an RAF officer seconded to MI5, described as eccentric, lanky, apparently sported a waxed mustache. He was sort of the dreamer.
He brought the initial idea back to the table, though his first version was maybe a bit too complex.
A bit Rube Goldberg, yeah. But the core concept, use a corpse, was sound. He had the, let's say, imaginative spark.
But imagination needs grounding. It needs meticulous planning. Enter Ewan Montague.
Ah, Montague, the craftsman. Completely different background. He was a brilliant barrister at King's Counsel, that's a very senior lawyer, wealthy Jewish family, volunteered for naval intelligence.
And that legal background, that Casey's status, was absolutely crucial, wasn't it?
Hugely. Montague understood evidence. He knew how a case is built, how it's cross-examined, where the weaknesses lie. He approached the deception like building an airtight legal case.
He gave it the code name too, right? Mincemeat.
He did. And his job was to ensure every single detail about this fictional Major Martin would withstand scrutiny, like evidence presented in court.
So they had the plan, the team. Now, the most critical and frankly the most ethically troubling part, finding the body.
The grim search. It wasn't easy. They needed someone who, first, wouldn't be missed or claimed by family, second, whose cause of death could plausibly look like drowning after exposure at sea, and third, obtainable without raising suspicion.
This leads us to the tragic figure at the absolute center of this, Glyndwr Michael.
Yes, a real person. A homeless man from a small Welsh mining town. His father had died by suicide. He drifted to London, penniless, completely alone, just forgotten by society.
And his death. It was grim, but inadvertently perfect for their needs. How did he actually die?
In late January 43, he was found extremely ill in, I think, an abandoned warehouse. He'd eaten some bread, likely smeared with rat poison containing phosphorus. He died 2 days later in St. Pancras Hospital. He was only 36.
So tragic. But the phosphorus, that was the key medically, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the pathological detail. The phosphorus caused pulmonary edema?
Fluid buildup in the lungs.
Exactly. And if you're a pathologist doing a quick autopsy on a body washed up from the sea, already assuming drowning, fluid in the lungs looks entirely consistent with drowning, especially if you're not looking too closely for other causes.
It was a perfect, if deeply uncomfortable match. They found their man. But getting the body, that required some maneuvering.
Montague had to use his connections. He approached the London coroner, a man named Bentley Purchase. Purchase agreed to release Michael's body discreetly, basically falsifying records to say it was buried elsewhere.
So the coroner was in on it. That's a huge risk for
A
him.
massive risk, legal, ethical. But Montague persuaded him. They got the body, put it into cold storage at Hackney Mortuary. The justification was the greater good.
You have to remember the context. London, 1943. The Blitz, the blackouts, severe rationing. Life felt precarious.
Oh, absolutely. People were eating things like Woolton pie, root vegetables and pastry. Rationing was brutal, a couple of ounces of tea or bacon a week. Death was commonplace. Did that make the decision easier? Maybe. But it was still a profound ethical choice.
Taking the body of a man forgotten in life, making him anonymous in death, all to save thousands of soldiers, it's deeply uncomfortable.
It is. They took a huge gamble that the Spanish autopsy would be cursory. But they made the call. So, body acquired. Now, phase 2, giving this corpse a life. Section 3, crafting the persona.
This is where Montague's genius for detail really comes in, his concept of pocket litter.
Pocket litter, I love that term. It's all the mundane stuff people carry around, not top secret codes, but, keys, ticket stubs, receipts, letters, the detritus of daily life.
Montague the lawyer knew. You might question a formal document, but who questions a bus ticket? Who fakes an angry letter from the bank?
Exactly. That stuff feels real, because it is real for most people. So they started building the identity. Captain, acting major, William Martin, Royal Marines.
Bill Martin. Why that name? Anything special?
Deliberately common. There were several real William Martins in the Royal Marines. It created a fog of confusion for any German agent trying quick checks. Plausible deniability built in.
And the personality, they didn't make him a superhero.
No, quite the opposite. He was meant to be a pretty regular guy, a good time guy, maybe a bit careless with his money, looking forward to getting married, relatable, flawed.
So the pocket letter reflected that. What kind of things did they include?
Okay, so they had ticket stubs from a London theater, a matchbook from the Naval and Military Club suggests he's sociable. Cigarettes, of course. Keys.
But then the really clever bits, the things that showed his flaws.
Right. First, a rather stern letter, supposedly from his father, taking him to task for being irresponsible with money. You know, typical parental disapproval.
Okay, that feels real.
And then, the absolute masterstroke, in my opinion. A real overdue bill and an angry overdraft notice from Lloyd's Bank.
An overdraft notice, brilliant.
Isn't it? It's so mundane, so embarrassing, so real. No spy agency would fake an overdraft notice. It screams authenticity. A German analyst sees that and thinks, okay, this poor chap was real, had money troubles like everyone else.
It grounds the whole thing. But they needed an emotional core too, right? A reason for him to want to get back.
They gave him a fiancée, Pam, and they needed a face for Pam. They used a photo of a young woman who worked at MI5, Jean Leslie.
Wasn't it quite a fetching photo?
It was her in a swimsuit, yeah. A perfect pinup photo for a young officer to carry. But the real work went into the letters from Pam.
The love letters. Not written by Jean Leslie, though.
No, they got a senior secretary, Hester Leggett, described as a bit of a skenster, to draft them. And the genius was, again, the mundane reality.
They weren't passionate, flowery declarations.
Absolutely not. They were deliberately, almost boringly domestic, complaining about the wartime rations, making little inside jokes, talking about neighbors, the everyday stuff of a real relationship.
Because that's more believable than fake poetry.
Infinitely more believable. Anyone could fake grand passion. Only a real couple complains about the quality of the tinned milk, you know. These tiny, dull truths sold the big lie.
And the final touch to the romance.
A receipt from a Bond Street jeweler, Gerard's, I think, for a diamond engagement ring. Seals the deal. He's got a girl, he's getting married, he has a future to fight for.
So the Germans find this body, they find the overdraft, the letters about tea rations, the engagement ring receipt. They start to believe in Major Martin the man.
And once they believe in the man, they're psychologically primed to believe in the documents he was carrying. Which brings us to Section 4, the double bluff in the briefcase.
The actual payload, what was in that briefcase chained to his wrist?
The key document was an official-looking personal letter. Supposedly, from Lieutenant General Sir Archibald Nye. He was Vice Chief of the Imperial General Staff, so very senior address to General Sir Harold Alexander, who was the Allied commander out in North Africa.
Okay, so high-level correspondence. But it needed to look plausible that it was being hand-carried by a relatively junior major.
Right, so they layer the authenticity. First, the tone. Nye starts the letter with sort of insider military gossip.
Shop talk.
Exactly.
Love that.
Talking about appointments of other generals, complaining slightly, this is a nice touch about the Americans being a bit stingy, awarding medals to British officers.
Yeah, believable friction.
Totally believable. It makes it feel like a real personal communication between two senior officers, not just a dry operational order. Important enough to maybe warrant hand delivery, especially if it contains sensitive plans.
And then came the lie itself, buried in this chatty letter.
Nye casually mentions the upcoming Operation Husky, and he states, as if it's established fact, that the targets are Greece and Sardinia.
The simple deception. But Montague didn't stop there. This is where the double bluff comes in, the really clever bit.
This is the stroke of genius. Nye adds another line, almost an aside, saying something like, of course, we're continuing Operation Barclay to try and make the Germans think we're going for Sicily.
Whoa, hang on, that sounds risky. They knew the Germans already suspected Sicily. Why tell them the Allies were trying to make them think Sicily? Wouldn't that confirm their suspicions?
But think about the psychology. It's a beautiful trap. German intelligence, and Hitler especially, prided themselves on being clever, on seeing through enemy tricks.
Okay.
They already suspected Sicily. So when they read this secret letter saying the Allies are trying to make them focus on Sicily as a feint, it doesn't just give them the false targets of Greece and Sardinia.
It flatters them. It confirms their own brilliance.
Precisely. It tells them, you were right all along. You saw through the Sicily deception. And here, in this priceless captured letter, is confirmation of the real plan, Greece and Sardinia. It plays right into their confirmation bias and their intellectual vanity.
They think they've uncovered a deeper layer of the Allied plan. They feel smart, so they trust the information.
They swallowed it because it made them feel like they'd outthought the Allies. It wasn't just a lie. It was a lie wrapped in a compliment to their own intelligence apparatus.
That is incredibly cunning. Just wow.
And just to be absolutely sure the letter was read, they added that tiny final check.
The microscopic failsafe.
The single human eyelash, placed carefully inside the fold of the night letter. If the briefcase came back and the eyelash was missing.
They'd know the letter had been opened and read. Physical proof the fish took the bait?
Exactly. So the persona was crafted, the trap was set. Now, Major Martin is needed to make his final journey. Section 5. The voyage and the wait.
This wasn't simple. Getting a preserved body, dressed as an officer, from London to the coast of Spain secretly during wartime.
A huge logistical challenge. They put Glyndwr Michael's body in this massive steel canister, about 2 meters long, weighed 400 pounds, filled with dry ice to keep it preserved.
And they labeled it deceptively, didn't they?
Yep. Stenciled on the side. Handled with care optical instruments. Made it look like sensitive high-tech gear, something you wouldn't casually pry open.
And who drove this grim cargo?
Montague and Cholmondeley themselves. In a beat-up old 1937 Fordson van, can you imagine the tension? Driving across wartime Britain with a dead body in a box, hoping not to get stopped or questioned too closely.
All the way up to Holy Loch in Scotland.
Right. There, it was carefully loaded onto the submarine HMS Seraph, commanded by Lieutenant Bill Jewell.
Did the submarine crew know what they were carrying?
Mostly kept in the dark. They were apparently told they had a secret weather monitoring device, or maybe just cryptically that they had a new shipmate Charlie. Classic wartime need to know.
So the Seraph sails south. Tense journey, radio silence. Then the night of April 30th, 1943.
Moonless night. They surface just over a mile off Huelva, Spain. The crew has to wrestle this 400-pound canister onto the deck.
Must have been an eerie scene, opening it up.
Yeah, the dry ice would have created this sort of fog, carbon dioxide vapor swirling around. They got the body out, put a life jacket on Major Martin, checked the briefcase chain one last time.
Ready to commit him to the waves. But then something unexpected happened.
A really poignant human moment. Lieutenant Jewell, the sub-commander, wasn't ordered to do this, but he felt the gravity of it all. He pulled out a prayer book.
And?
By torchlight, there on the deck of the submarine, he recited the 39th Psalm over the body before they gently pushed it into the sea. A moment of respect, of the sacred, amidst this incredibly strange, macabre operation.
A farewell for Glyndwr Michael, the man nobody knew.
In a way, yes. Then the body drifted off towards the Spanish coast. The Seraph submerged and sent the coded signal back to London. Mincemeat complete.
Now the waiting game. And the choice of Huelva was critical.
Absolutely deliberate. Spain was neutral, but Franco leaned towards the Axis, and Huelva itself was crawling with German spies. Specifically, a very active known Abwehr agent named Adolf Claus.
And British intelligence had assessed Claus?
They considered him very active, but also, crucially, extremely gullible. He was the perfect person to find this information first, eager to please Berlin with a major intelligence coup.
And it worked. The fisherman found the body, reported it. Word got to Claus very quickly.
So quickly, and the potential prize seemed so great, that the Germans in Berlin got involved. Admiral Canaris, the head of Abwehr, had to personally pressure the Spanish authorities to let German agents examine the documents.
Which itself suggests they already believed it was important even before opening it.
Exactly. The Spanish eventually agreed. A Spanish naval officer carefully steamed open the envelopes, maintaining a facade of neutrality, of course. Claus and his team photographed everything.
Every letter, the overdraft notice, all of it.
The whole lot. The Nye letter, the Pam letters, the bank notice, everything. Then they carefully put it all back, resealed the envelopes, and the briefcase was formally handed over to the British naval attaché in Madrid, as if nothing had happened.
But back in London, the briefcase arrives, straight to the forensic team.
The moment of truth. They checked the Nye letter. And the single eyelash.
Gone.
Gone. They'd read it. Mincemeat was in play. And as a final touch, a few weeks later, on June 4th, Major W. Martin's name appeared quietly in the casualty lists published in the Times newspaper.
A detail the meticulous Germans would definitely check. Okay, so they read it, but did they believe the double bluff? Did they swallow it whole? Section 6. Confirmation and consequences.
This is where another miracle of WWII intelligence comes in. Old TRA.
The Bletchley Park code breakers. They'd cracked the German Enigma codes.
Which meant the Allies could essentially listen in on the German High Command's most secret communications in almost real time. It was the perfect way to see if Mincemeat had actually worked.
So what did the LCRA decrypts show?
They were. Well, better than anyone could have dared hope. Messages started flooding in between German commanders, military intelligence, all discussing these priceless documents found on the dead British major in Spain.
They bought it.
Completely. The intercept showed Hitler himself had seen the reports based on the documents, and he was, quote, utterly convinced. Convinced the main Allied attack was coming on Greece and Sardinia. The double bluff had landed perfectly.
He believed he'd seen through the Allies' trick.
Hook, line, and sinker. Which led to that famous, concise telegram sent to Churchill, who was in Washington at the time.
The 3 words.
Mincemeat swallowed whole.
Incredible. So how did the Germans react on the ground? Did they move troops based on this false intelligence?
Oh, spectacularly. It was exactly what Montague and Chilnagoli had planned for. Huge movements of German forces across Europe.
Like what? What kind of scale are we talking?
UTRA confirmed it. Hitler ordered 7 German divisions move from France, where they might have reinforced Normandy later, down to Greece. An entire Panzer division, vital armored forces, also sent to the Balkans. Troop numbers in Sardinia were doubled.
Wow. Pulling forces away from other critical areas.
Absolutely. And crucially, naval assets too. German torpedo boats, the fast attack craft that could have caused chaos among the invasion fleet heading for Sicily, were moved out of Sicily and redeployed to the Greek islands.
So what happened in Sicily itself? Any reinforcements sent there?
Virtually none. No significant new German units arrived in Sicily in May or June 1943. Even when the invasion started, German high command hesitated. They held back reserves for almost 2 critical weeks.
Why? Still waiting for the real attack.
Still thinking Sicily might just be a diversionary attack, that the main blow was still coming in Greece, just as Major Martin's letter suggested. That hesitation gave the Allies vital time to secure their beachheads and build up forces.
So July 10th, 1943, D-Day for Sicily, Operation Husky launches.
The massive Allied armada arrives, and the resistance they meet. It's there, but it's a fraction of what it could have been. The defenders are stretched thin, caught off guard, lacking the reinforcements Mincemeat had diverted.
And the
A stunning success for the Allies. Sicily was captured in just 38 days. Far faster, and with significantly fewer casualties than planners had feared. An overwhelming victory.
And the immediate political fallout was huge too, wasn't it, in Italy?
Massive. The rapid fall of Sicily was the final straw for Mussolini's regime. The fascist Grand Council turned against him. The king ordered his arrest. Mussolini was out. Just like that, a direct consequence of Husky's success.
And even broader impact. You mentioned troops being pulled from France. What about the Eastern Front?
That's another critical consequence. To try and prop up the collapsing situation in Italy and the Med, Hitler was forced to pull experienced troops and vital panzer divisions away from the Eastern Front.
Right in the middle of the Battle of Kursk.
Some units directly from Kursk, yes, arguably the biggest tank battle in history. Mincemeat didn't just impact the Med. It likely had a tangible effect on the outcome of that crucial battle against the Soviet Union. Shows how strategic deception in one theater can ripple globally.
Just amazing. A single corpse, a briefcase of fake letters, changes the strategic map of the war.
It's arguably one of the most successful and certainly most imaginative examples of information warfare ever conducted.
Which brings us to the legacy. What happened afterwards? Section 7. The Ghost's Legacy.
Well, the architects got recognition eventually. Ewan Montague received an OBE, Order of the British Empire. He later wrote the book, The Man Who Never Was, which became a famous film. Cholmondeley also got an award.
And historians recognized its importance.
Oh, yes. Hugh Trevor Roper, a major historian of the Nazi era, called it the best deception in the history of warfare. High praise. It was celebrated as a triumph of Allied ingenuity.
But the man at the center of it, Glyndwr Michael, he remained anonymous for decades, buried in that cemetery in Huelva, Spain.
Under the name Major William Martin, with full military honors, a hero's grave for a man who never was, while the real man, Glyndwr Michael, remained lost to history.
Until quite recently, really.
It wasn't until 1996. An amateur historian, Roger Morgan, was researching in newly declassified files at the Public Record Office in the UK, and he found the documents that revealed the truth.
He uncovered Glyndwr Michael's identity.
He did. He pieced together the story of the homeless man from Wales, whose body had been used. The forgotten man was finally found.
And the government acknowledged it.
Yes, in 1998, the British government officially confirmed his identity, and they arranged for a new inscription to be added to the headstone in Huelva.
What does it say now?
It reads, Glyndwr Michael served as Major William Martin, RM, acknowledging both the real man and the fictional role he played. A small act of restoring dignity after decades of anonymity.
So, looking back at Mincemeat, what are the big takeaways for us, you think? Beyond just a great war story.
Well, it's a powerful lesson in the power of narrative, isn't it? How small, mundane, believable details the pocket litter can be used to sell a huge lie.
The power of the seemingly insignificant.
Exactly, and it's a reminder about critical thinking. The Germans were fooled partly because the lie confirmed their existing biases. It flattered their intelligence. When information seems too perfect, too confirming of what you already believe, that's when you need to be most skeptical.
Because someone might be playing on your assumptions, like Montague did.
Precisely. And then there's the enduring ethical question. We touched on it, the use of Glyndwr Michael's body. Montague defended it vigorously his whole life, saying the stakes were too high, the potential saving of life too great.
The cold, brutal calculus of war.
Yes. And it leaves you with that difficult question. Put yourself in Montague's shoes. In that London basement in 1943, thousands of lives hang in the balance. You have this opportunity, this body. Do you cross that line? Is there a line that shouldn't be crossed, even to win a war?
A tough question with no easy answer. An anonymous man, given a fictional life, who ended up playing a pivotal role in defeating Nazism. It's an absolutely extraordinary story.
Truly unforgettable.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the chilling brilliance of Operation Mincemeat. We'll see you next time.